Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about I'm sorry I had to do this. Well, sometimes an ex will give a reason like I'm sorry that I had to do this breakup, and they felt like they had to do it. Now, the range of reasons can be a lot of different things in a situation like this, from them feeling overwhelmed to other things going on in their life where they couldn't make the relationship a priority anymore. One of the things that happens, though, is we often blame ourselves. Even if we're a good partner or a relatively good partner, we sit there and we just constantly obsessed about why it happened and how maybe we're at fault for those things. But that's not always the case. And sometimes, you guys are relatively good partners and you get broken up with. Now, I truly believe in doing the work and bettering yourself. And I constantly see that when people are motivated and they're doing the workbooks every day, they're doing the creative healing course every day, that they truly get to a great place where they change their life. And yes, of course, learning the skills that we teach and working through your attachment issues is going to naturally create a stronger attraction to either your ex or anybody that you date. So you always want to make that your priority every day while you're in no contact, is doing the work, setting aside a time to do those workbooks, to do the creative healing course. You will see that as the days go by, you are learning a lot and you're feeling a lot better, and you're going to be a lot more likely to re-attract your ex than to do things that turn them off. Because believe me, you don't want to be the person that's telling me or telling yourself, I didn't do the work when they came back, because then you're going to feel even worse and more guilty knowing you had the opportunity and the chance and then you didn't do what you needed to do. Now today I've got an interesting email coaching that I think you guys are going to like this one. They said, "Hi Craig, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. I have been a fan of this channel for many years and it has helped me tremendously." Well, thank you for the kind words. We really appreciate hearing those emails, and we always love hearing success stories from you guys. Now, she is in her mid-20s, and her ex is a few years older. She said that he helps his family with a family business. Now, I won't say what kind of business it is, but if you look at some of the videos that we've done with Margaret, where we've talked about noodles, and people not being individuated from their family and working for a family restaurant, which we called noodles, you'll see it does cause a lot of breakups. And in fact, we have a great cartoon in the creative healing course that talks about what we're talking about here, because it's really interesting and it comes up in a lot of breakups. But you very rarely hear anything about that online, about these kind of breakups. But Margaret was very interested in family systems therapy over the years. And so that's why she has a really good understanding, was able to teach Victoria and I about how families actually cause a lot of breakups. And you're going to see how this happened in this situation. He is very outgoing and likes to party, while I am on the quiet side and more reserved. He has severe ADHD and decided to stop taking his medication 5 months into our relationship because he didn't want it to dictate his life. Now, one of the things that I learned is that people that often have ADHD grew up in traumatic homes. And so, you see somebody here that he was on the medication, but then usually when it's working, people start to feel like, oh, I don't need it anymore, and they stop taking it. But then a lot of other issues can come back up. She goes on to say, "We didn't have many problems in our relationship, and we complemented each other very well with our differences. We almost bought a house together last year, but the inspection came back poor, and he wanted to hold off for a while. He always seemed to be insecure about my accomplishments. I graduated top 10 in my high school, had free college tuition due to my academics, and no student debt, while he dropped out of college and has a lot of debt." Okay, so thinking about living in debt, it's stressful. He could be depressed about it, feel bad about it, beat himself up about it. Those things will impact somebody. I live alone with my mom, and my father is an abusive addict that we legally have a restraining order against. Due to this, my mom is emotionally distant because of her own trauma. My ex's family is the opposite and very overbearing and overprotective of him. Not good. Noodles, noodles, noodles. Not gonna be good. I felt we had no privacy. They always had to know where he was, and his mom even tracked his phone location. Wow. So the mom is tracking this guy, and he's close to 30 years old. Not healthy. There were many times where we were out and his parents would call him, telling him he had to come home and help them with pointless things. Does this sound normal to you? Of course not. Why are they doing this? Why are they getting in the middle of this connection? Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is if he gets closer to her, then he might abandon them. Now, what's going on there? Is it they're afraid he'll move away or want to start his own family and tell them no, he doesn't want to work for their business anymore? Something along those lines. Something's up there, but it's not good. She goes on to say it was really effed up. And I agreed with that. They would message him all hours of the day. I just thought it was bizarre for someone in their upper 20s to have their parents this much involved in their life. Yes, it is bizarre, and it's not healthy. And he is not in a good position to be in a relationship with you until he figures out what to do with his parents here. I told him he should probably put up some boundaries, but he would get very defensive. Now, she was right about this. He should have put up some boundaries because that's healthy. They shouldn't be out or contacting him when he's out and tracking his phone and telling him to come home for pointless things. None of this is healthy. And this guy is close to 30 years old. How is he going to have his own life? He can't. And I think that's what they're trying to stop. And this is even more concerning. He would get very defensive. So instead of him saying to her, you're right, I got to do something about this, this isn't healthy, he would defend the parents. He's still going along with the system. You see? I felt like they had to dictate his every move. Over the past 6 months, his depression had gotten really bad. He kept saying that he was in a funk and couldn't get out of it. He started drinking heavily, sleeping until the afternoon, and had no interest in intimacy. Well, that certainly sounds like depression to me. What's he depressed about? Is he feeling guilty, torn, that he knows he's got to do something with his parents but doesn't want to do it? Is there a trauma history here? Could very well be. Some kind of family secrets that they're wanting him to keep? I know it's unsurprising, but trust me, it's not. Could be something going on here that by keeping him close, keeping an eye on him, he's not able to tell people the family secrets. I asked him if there was anything I could do to help him, and he always said, no, it's my fault. I recently took a job making 6 figures. He broke up with me while I was out of state for a few days, job training right before Christmas. Brutal, right? So she gets a great job, probably an increase in her salary, feeling good, goes away to train, and he breaks up with her right before Christmas. You know his family had their claws right in this, right? This was on them. They were doing something to sabotage this. He called me saying he didn't see a future with me and he no longer has the spark for me. Well, how are you supposed to feel the spark for anybody when you're depressed. When you're depressed, you don't have the spark for life itself. Think about it. Depressed people are going to feel like it has to do with the connection, but it's not about the connection. It's about everything. And the connection is just one of those things. But I suspect the family was trying to sabotage this as well. I asked him what I did wrong, and he told me, "You did nothing wrong. I am just not happy." No, he's not happy, but he's depressed, and he's not seeing that it's really about something else going on here, and he's thinking that maybe this is the only thing he has the power to change, is this relationship. Maybe he feels like he can't stand up to his parents, or is afraid to, or feels too guilty to do that. But this is not about her, because it sounds like she's been acting like a real adult here. I told him, "Well, I can't force someone to love and be with me, so if you don't think I will make you happy, then okay." Look at how well she handled herself. How many of you handled yourself that well? Not many, I can tell you that. She's probably in the top 10% of people handling a breakup by staying that calm, not begging, not pleading, not trying to manipulate, not trying to change this guy's mind. And everything she's described has been healthy so far. Even her insights onto him and what's going on has been healthy. He then told me he didn't know if he wanted to break up with me and needed to sleep on it. All of a sudden, see, look what happened there. This lines up with what we tell you. He goes to break up with her. Instead of begging and pleading, she agrees with the breakup. And what happens? Now, all of a sudden, "Oh, I don't want to break up. I need to sleep on it." See? That's the interesting thing about breakups. He messaged me later that night, "I'm sorry I had to do this." And I didn't reply. He took me off of Facebook and Facebook status, so I assumed we were broken up. Yeah, I think I would assume it, even though he is certainly not communicating like an adult here, right? Because he's like, "Let me sleep on it," then he doesn't message you? Come on, give me a break. That's so immature. Sometimes you have people in your life that are like that. It's like, "Hey, I gotta go." They get off the phone with you, and then they don't call you back. And then you don't hear from them for weeks or whatever. It's like, come on. That's just how some people are. But it's immature and it's selfish, right? I never reached out and have been in no contact since. Look at how good she's done. She was okay with it. She didn't try and manipulate. She left him alone. She didn't get triggered by him removing stuff on Facebook. And she hasn't reached out. I have no idea what I did wrong in this situation and if it's repairable. I always treated him with love and respect. But because the situation doesn't make sense, I'm finding ways to blame myself for his unhappiness. Okay, so that lines up with everything I said throughout this video, right? That at the start of the video, I said how people would kind of blame themselves because I see this often. And it clearly wasn't her fault. Look at how well she handled herself. She's been a mature adult throughout all of this. And so if she's been like this and handled herself this well in the breakup, of course she's handled herself really well, throughout the relationship. And she said it. I always treated him with love and respect. And what did he say? "You're not the problem." So we clearly have a guy that's got some unresolved issues going on with his family. There could be, like I said, trauma going on there. There's depression, there's guilt. But what he needs to do here is he's got to figure out what he wants to do with his life. He's got to get to a place where he individuates from them and figures out who he is and what he wants for his life. Does he want to continue to run his family business? I don't think so. I think it's part of the reason he's depressed, right? But you can't make him work through these issues. I think you've done the right thing, and I think you'll hear from him, and he's not going to be easy to navigate because he's not in a good headspace. And I would be reluctant to take him back unless I see some real growth and maturity from here, some insight, and definitely setting boundaries with the parents. That he's no longer, or they're no longer tracking his phone, they're no longer interrupting their dates, and he's able to say, Mom, I'm out on a date. What's going on? Can this wait till morning? Is it important? Okay, I'll call you tomorrow. And start setting some limits and dates. And he's got to do that. And until he does, these parents are going to be running their life. His life and her life if they're together. So you don't want this guy back unless he does set those boundaries and get to a healthy place. Because otherwise, you'll have a mother-in-law that is literally ruling and controlling your life and this man. And then when there's grandkids, she'll be even worse. Okay? Trust me, we've seen many situations like this over the years. So, as you can see, she was a great partner. She's gonna, I'm sure, work on herself and no contact to even get to a stronger place and understand him better. Because when you do the work, you could also understand, your partner better, like him. Because you'll have to really try to understand him to be with somebody that's going through these things, okay? But I do think she's going to hear from him. Probably about 4-5 months, be my best guess. But he'll look for an excuse to contact her. I could already see it happening. All right, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you want to get my help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. You can get started on my workbooks and the creative healing course only on the website. You will love them. Stay motivated. They will change your life. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.